Welcome to our inaugural Family Caregiver Symposium, The Power of Care. My name is Blair Barker, and I'm the CEO of the Camarillo Health Care District. I notice I'll need to get a little closer. It's such an honor to be here with all of you today. You are the individuals who give so much of yourself to care for another. Whether you're here as a son, daughter, partner, friend, or neighbor, what unites you all is that quiet, powerful, and meaningful role as a caregiver. Caregiving is often unseen, yet it is one of the most meaningful and selfless things a person can do. And so today is for you. Today we hope that you'll feel recognized, uplifted, connected, and supported. We've prepared a special program for you today, filled with stories, resources, and moments of reflection, and just a tiny bit of humor, too. Because we really want to remind you, you're not alone in this journey. And we're so grateful that you took the time to be with us today. Before we begin, I'd just like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful sponsors and community partners whose generous support, really their support and time made today possible. So, I'm going to introduce, it is my privilege here to introduce our keynote speaker, Brenda Birdwell. So, Brenda is a family consultant with the Coast Caregiver Resource Center, and she provides direct support to caregivers navigating some of the most emotionally complex moments of our lives. With a background in social work and deep experience in supporting families, Brenda brings both empathy and wisdom to her work. So she's going to explore today some of the more hidden challenges of caregiving, and that is compassion fatigue, post-traumatic caregiving, and ambiguous loss, those moments where that person might be physically present, but absent in mind or emotion. So her presentation is called The Cost of Caring, and it's about naming these experiences, honoring them, and offering tools to help you care for yourself while you care for others. Please join me in welcoming Brenda.
Okay, Blair's a lot taller than I am, but I think you can I have an outside voice and an inside anyway, so I think you can probably hear me just fine. So thank you all for coming out today. As Blair said, I'm going to be talking about some things that sound pretty daunting just by the title: compassion fatigue, post-traumatic caregiving, and ambiguous loss. I promise you the first couple slides, we're just getting definitions out of the way, and then I'm just going to have a talk with you. So hopefully that'll be okay. So thanks so much for coming out. So most people, if you have been a caregiver for more than 5 minutes, have heard that caregivers do not self-identify. I'm here to tell you, if you are providing 24-hour hands-on personal care, you're a caregiver. If you are checking in on your mother in Pennsylvania, several states away, you're a caregiver. If you're a friend who's picking up a prescription at the grocery store for your neighbor, you're a caregiver. You're the most important part of the equation, because if something happens to you, what's going to happen to your loved one? And by the way, I'm going to use those terms for my purposes. My client is the caregiver. I'm here to support the caregiver. For most people, like the caregiving agencies, the care receiver is their client. But as I'm speaking, you're the caregiver, and the care receiver, the loved one, is the person that you're providing care to. So we're just going to go over some definitions at the beginning. So the first topic is compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is emotional and physical exhaustion from prolonged exposure to others' suffering. It's the cost of caring. The symptoms are reduced empathy, cynicism, withdrawal, headaches. You're probably not getting a lot of sleep, and you're just feeling overwhelmed. So if any of that sounds familiar to any of you, what can you do about that? You can practice self-care. Don't worry, we're going to break all this down. You're going to learn how to set boundaries. For some people, just even learning how to do that is a process, and then actually doing it can be done. Practice mindfulness and build resilience. Post-traumatic caregiving is intense stress, burnout, and PTSD due to chronic caregiving demands. That probably sounds familiar to everyone in this room. So what is it like if you're feeling post-traumatic caregiving? You're probably anxious. You're feeling guilty. None of us are Superman or Superwoman. You're all doing the best that you can do. You're definitely exhausted, and you don't want to go out and hang out with people because all you want to do is try to grab 5 minutes of sleep or something. What can you do about that? Again, practice self-care. There's going to be a continuing trend here. Find support and seek professional help. And then the last definition is ambiguous loss. It's confusing because the person that you love is literally sitting right beside you, but Elvis has left the building. So they're there, but they're really not there. So if that's the case for you, you have chronic uncertainty. You don't know what you're going to get in the morning, right? Are they going to have a good day or a bad day? You definitely have anxiety. You're feeling sad over the loss, the grief of what you used to have that's not there anymore, and it's hard to keep going. What can you do in that case? You can accept ambiguity, realize that two things can be true at once, and build resilience. Again, the same words, the same things are going to keep coming up. So I'm here to tell you that two things can be true at the same time. You can be doing a lot of really, really hard things that you would rather not be doing, but you can still have a life. So today, we're going to explore the lives of Savannah and Spencer. Now I'm looking around, and I know a few people in the room, and you might hear me talking about a situation that sounds a lot like what's happening to you, but that's not really the way it happened. I took full artistic license, and I've taken 7 years worth of client stories and interactions and put those into the characters Savannah and Spencer. So when I first met Savannah, she was pretty frazzled. She was on her second marriage. There's usually a reason why the first marriage didn't work, right? So this second marriage was, she had met the love of her life. Everything was perfect. They had the honeymoon in Tahiti. Everything was awesome. And Spencer was like, and this will resonate with a lot of you too, Spencer was like genius IQ. Like he had multiple businesses that he brought up. I know there's people in this room whose dads put men on the moon. I mean, there's a lot of really smart people who can be impacted by this disease, right? So he had started doing some like kind of weird things, like she would tell him to go make coffee and he'd be putting orange juice in the coffee machine. She'd be like, what's up with that? Like she thought he was joking around in the beginning. As things progressed, it became clear that there was something wrong with him. So when I met her, she was trying to run a full-time business from home. He had been working as well. He had multiple businesses, but he wasn't able to complete his work tasks. He was losing business, so he was hanging around at home a lot more. And she was just really frazzled and upset, and she didn't know what to do. And she said, you know, my friends keep telling me I need to talk to somebody, I need some help. I mean, it's fine. It's annoying, but I'm fine. I don't need any help. And then she started breaking down the kinds of things that were happening. And so I suggested that she become a client, and I could offer her some services. And the first time that we met, I was talking about, you know, support groups. I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to talk to other people. I said, we have counseling sessions with counselors who work with caregivers, so you don't have to spend your whole session talking about what caregiving is. They already know. That's what they do. They work with caregivers all day long. I don't have time to talk about myself. Okay, well then, we also have something called respite care. What is that? We can have somebody from an in-home care agency come and sit in your house with Spencer while you're trying to get some work done. I don't really need it. He's just annoying. I don't really need help. And I said, okay, you don't need help. I understand that, but let me just give you a few little tips to think about. And if you want to call me back and talk about more stuff, we can do that. So I said, there's a couple things that all of you can do, any of you can do right now. Make a to-do list. I go get groceries on this day, I get flowers on this day, I fill the car with gas on this day. Make a to-do list and make copies of it and carry it around with you. And if somebody comes up to you and says, do you need some help? Just start passing out your to-do list like Christmas candy. Because you know how it is when your friends kind of start disappearing when things kind of start getting hard, right? So you're finding out who your friends are. I'm from the South. In the South, everybody says, hi, how you doing? But nobody stays around long enough to find out. So you think, oh, they're so nice. Well, that's just their thing. That's what they do. So a few weeks went by, and she came back to me, and she said, I don't think I want to do this, but I'll try a support group. So I said, okay. So she came to the group, and other people in the group were talking about the do's and don'ts. Don't look now. It's on your table. It's just a one-pager, bullet points. Don't try to reason with somebody with dementia. Don't say you just said that 3 times. Can you please stop? So that's on the table as a takeaway, and it can also be emailed or distributed otherwise. But that's a really simple thing that seems like I don't need to do this, and it's really helpful, actually. So they were talking about the do's and don'ts. Somebody else was talking about how great respite care was, and she was like, I don't want a stranger in my house, and he's not going to know this person. Like, why are they there? What are they doing there? He's not going to want to do that. Then they were talking about the happy place. So that's something all of you can do. Not right now. Wait until I'm done talking, please. But the happy place is so simple, and I know you're not kindergartners, but trust me, if you find the happy place and practice it, 2 months from now, you're going to go, she was onto something with this. So define your happy place. And the really cool thing about the happy place is you get to pick. Nobody can tell you. So do you want to pretend you're in Tahiti on the beach? Do you want to be in your front yard looking at your birds and your animals? You define your happy place. You figure out how to trigger yourself to go there, and go there every day. You can go for a minute, you can go for 15 minutes, but I'm telling you, the happy place really does work. So she's like, oh, okay, happy place, okay. So then after the support group, and they talked about the to-do list as well, so she's like, okay, maybe there's something about this. I wasn't going to do it, but maybe I'll try it. So then she decided she would give the respite care a try. And so she would talk about how, even when she was at home, Spencer would come in the office like every 30 minutes. There's something called object permanence. When you have a newborn, the baby figures out pretty quickly, if you leave the room, you're eventually going to come back. Like, it figures out somehow. It is going to get fed, it's going to get cleaned, all of that. So children, babies, have object permanence. People with Alzheimer's disease have lost that concept. So when they're leaving the room, you're leaving the room and they're coming after you going, where are you going? Where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? They don't know if you're going to come back. So if you do something as simple as saying, I love you, I'll be here to care for you, but right now I just need to go and do some laundry. I'll be back. That might help. And some of those same people might lose their interest in bathing and showering. Are you saying it's time to go take a shower, and then nothing happens? They may not have remembered the act of getting the shower ready. So if you actually have the shower going at the right temperature and you got the soap and the washcloth, and take them in and say, hey, we're going to go take a shower now. Maybe there'll be more. None of this may work for any of you, but if you can take away one thing at the end of this to take into the world with you, then I will feel good about that. So she tries the respite care. The person comes in her house and she's like, great, I appreciate you doing this, but I have to work from home. And he's still here. So is there something that you can do, like, where he's not in the house? And I said, well, there's a couple of adult day centers. Camarillo Health Care District has a great one. You live in Thousand Oaks, Senior Concerns has one. And she said, what is it? And I said, it's what it sounds like. It's like a daycare center for adults who can't be left alone because they're not safe, or they might do something, not take care of themselves. So she went for a tour, and she came back and said, heck no. He is not going to want to go there. That is not going to be his thing. Now, one thing that I forgot to introduce, because it's going to come back a couple of times, is the first time I talked to Savannah, and she was saying how great and wonderful their relationship was, and sometimes Spencer just got really mean. And I said, well, you just told me that you've had 3 years worth of wedded bliss. How would he act when you were having a good day? And he would call her his turtle dove. And I said, I don't know if it'll work, but think about the next time he's being cranky, ask him to bring the turtle dove back in the room. So she gets a trial day at Senior Concerns. I'm telling you, magical things happen at adult day centers. People have the cleanest engines in the world. Drop somebody off, he's looking for his car keys, he's got to go do something. Oh, you know what, your car's at the shop. Your car's at the shop yesterday and the day before and the week before. Or they're not going there as a participant, they're volunteering because they need a welcoming committee for the new people who are coming in. So they're so proud to be going to help those nice people at that nice center. So lo and behold, Savannah drops Spencer off. There's a big, when you first walk in the door, there's a big room where there's tables where people have their breakfast and stuff with a big window. And you'll see the people drop their loved one off and then kind of slink underneath the window and look and make sure they're doing okay. So it was one of those days. Guess what? She goes to pick Spencer up and he had the best time. He realizes he's not able to have the same kind of conversations he used to have. And the conversations that they're having, and they look all animated, and man, I wonder what they're talking about. And you walk by, and it's pure gibberish. But they still remember the act of, you're talking, I'm going to listen to you now. It's my turn to talk. So lo and behold, that worked out just great. So in the meantime, because she's able to get a little bit of extra time, she's starting to figure out, I'm like, why don't you take one of these days when he's there to do something for yourself? I don't have time for that. Maybe you don't have time to not do that. So she had done yoga before. She was too stressed out for yoga. I know, I get it. But she decided to try Pilates. So she's just trying to incorporate these new little things into what she's doing. So she's having a pretty good time with that, and it's working out pretty well. She realizes that this 2 days a week is not going to be enough, so she adds a third day that she's paying for out of her pocket. And she was like, you know what? Before all of this was happening, number one, I didn't feel like I was holding my breath. I was literally holding my breath, and now I can start breathing again. But I also realized that the quality of my life was slipping through my fingers like the sand on the beach when I'm doing my happy place collecting sea glass. So now that I'm on the other side of that, I can see that. So things are going along pretty well. Guess what? Spencer has a fall. Spencer has a fall, and he breaks his ankle, and he has to go to the hospital, and he has to have surgery, and he has to go to rehab. And guess what? He can't come back home. So he goes into a facility while he's recuperating, and she's gutted. She's feeling terrible about this because she wasn't going to do that, and she's a horrible wife, and people are going to judge her, and she should have done this, and she should have done that. And I invited her to reframe that and take out the word should, because should is a very heavy word with a lot of negative connotations. So she thought about it for a minute, and she said, you know what? I'm not going to should myself today. So she got more used to the idea of him being in this facility, and he's actually doing pretty well. And I asked her how it was going. She said, he's so happy there. And I feel so guilty because he knew that I was upset with him. I didn't think he knew I was upset with him, but he knew that I was upset with him. And now that he's in this place where other people are taking care of him and there's no expectations, he's not upsetting me anymore, and it makes him so happy. So then the next step is the facility calls Savannah and tells Savannah that Spencer has found a girlfriend at the facility. And she's like, okay, so what? No big deal. And she's on her way out of town because she has a business thing she's going to. She's going to run by the facility and cut his hair because she still cut his hair. So she's running by, she's going to cut his hair and head out. She walks in the front door. These are her words. There they are, holding hands with each other, looking at each other all googly-eyed. And she said, I did not need to bear witness to that. He's still my husband. I still love my husband. He still looks like my husband, even though we know Elvis left the building. So she cut his hair, and she would go every single day, sometimes more than once a day. She's off at this business trip. She's out of town. She can't come. She gets back to town, and she's not ready to go back. So I suggested when she goes back to the facility to let them know, either give them a schedule or let them know when she's on the way so they can make sure that the girlfriend is in another part of the building. So she basically was forced to give herself permission not to keep going back every single day. So she said, you know what? I have spent so much time and energy making sure Spencer was taken care of. I have no idea who I am anymore, now that I actually have some time. And I said, well, who are you when there's no one else in the room? And she said, I have no idea. So she kind of started a process of rediscovery, and she started accepting invitations to go out of town, to go up to Oregon with her friends. And she figured out that she can still be a loving, helpful caregiver. She can still love her husband, but she can also still have a life. So what have we learned from all of this? What can you do? What can you not do? Here's some suggestions. Don't should yourself. Just take should away. Don't should yourself. Do set boundaries for yourself and for your loved one and for your friends and for your business associates. And do find your happy place. So I'm here to say you can reframe your thoughts. You can go into a place of rediscovery and learn who you are when there's no one else in the room. And you can reinvent yourself. So what have we given you today? So also on the table you have the do's and don'ts. The beautiful, colorful piece of paper is from our lovely friends at the Alzheimer's Association. And you can make copies of these like Christmas candy or Hanukkah candy or Kwanzaa candy or whatever kind of thing you want to do. These are literal coupons that you can give out to your friends and loved ones and neighbors and say, here's what you can do for me. Which coupon do you want? And so if you are able to do any or all of these things, the cage door can open and you can let your turtle dove fly. Any questions or comments? I think I went about the right amount of time, right? No, we're just glad you stopped talking. Oh, yes, ma'am. How much time do we have? So I'll give you the Reader's Digest really condensed version. So I was actually in corporate America for 27 years. I was going to retire at 50, and I got laid off at 49. So here I am sitting here going, what am I going to do with myself? And I decided I wanted to work with seniors because I loved seniors. So I started out volunteering at Senior Concerns. I actually did a lot of stuff at Verizon, but I started out at Senior Concerns being in charge of their ultimate dining. If you've ever been to ultimate dining, like that was a minor volunteer role. I was the Ventura County District Attorney's Office only volunteer elder abuse victim advocate. I got a CSA, Certified Senior Advisor credential to make it letters behind my name without a lot of money and expense, which I got to in a minute, and ended up at Senior Concerns full-time. I used to work with Betty Berry in the Senior Advocate's Office. If anybody remembers Berry, she'll be 95 on January 3rd, and I still talk to her every Saturday. So I was at Senior Concerns for 4 years, then I was at Braille Institute for 4 years, and I've been at Coast Caregiver Resource Center for 7. At age 61, I decided to get my master's degree because I wanted to go into public policy. I'm a California senior legislator. I'm the vice chair of the health committee. And I got my MSW, and I'm getting my hours for clinical licensure at 66. I think I want to be a counselor.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Brenda. I enjoyed that very much. I just want to ask for myself and others, when you are a caregiver, you're in the moment because you have no choice, because you're dealing with a situation you have not dealt with. What can that particular person, how can that person recognize a trigger when they've gone too far, almost down the rabbit hole, without having counsel or someone in their space to tell them, you know, you're getting there? What can you just tell someone when you go into that point, that breaking point? Thank you. Thank
you. This is Dr. E.P. McKnight. Thank you, Dr. E.P. That's a good question, and it's multifaceted answer, but I promise I'll be quick. Yes, we all are human, and we're doing inhuman things, and we do get to a point where we just can't take it anymore, and we think we are going to lose it. So the first thing that I would say that I forgot to say, so thank you, I'll pay you later, is if you can't be in the room with love, then give yourself a timeout and leave the room, because they may not be able to verbalize it, but they can feel it. So as long as you know that the person is safe and they're not going to fall or they're not going to harm themselves, then just literally leave the room and literally go outside, take your shoes off, ground yourself, put your feet on the ground, take a deep breath. If you can't get out, just walk around the house, because you don't want to go, once you've gone too far, you can't come back. So that self-awareness is super important. And the other thing is, some days you have so much going on, it's actually not bad to go down the rabbit hole. You can't go down there and stay there, but it is actually good to go there just to process what you're feeling. But again, with the trigger, if you're gonna do that, decide how long you're gonna stay, and it can't be for 2 days, 30 minutes, whatever. So go ahead and feel the feelings, but know how to trigger yourself to come back out. Because if you don't address it, it is gonna come back and it's not gonna be a good ending, yeah.
Any other questions?
Don't give her the mic. I know a few people here. Thank you for coming out to support me.
Thank you. That your talk was amazing and very, very helpful. I do have a question in that my dad will say often, you know what's wrong, why aren't you fixing it? And you try to say, please tell me, and he doesn't know. We don't know where to go with that, and he gets very agitated. And do you have any suggestions of how to handle that? Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for that question. A couple of things for that too. Most people, and I know in this case it's an extremely intelligent person before this, most people do know that there's something wrong, but they can't articulate it. They just know there's something wrong. I would say, I didn't mention the fiblets before. Fiblets, I strongly encourage fiblets. Fiblets are little white lies that are going to harm no one. If your loved one walks in and says, man, the sky turned purple today, isn't that a pretty purple? Prettiest purple I ever saw. So I would encourage redirection and affirmation, because honestly, if they're getting agitated over something, 30 minutes from now, they may not remember what it was. So if you can redirect or just say, you know what, Dad, I really love you. I'm so glad to be your daughter, and I'm so glad that I'm able to spend time with you. Because most people do like to be told that they're loved and praised. And so redirection and affirmation.
Any other?
Yep. Oh, don't give her the mic.
Once again, thank you so much. So my question is the guilt. if I hate this mic. Oh. If I, learning boundaries, but then thinking, oh my God, if I'm not there at that moment, the guilt comes through, and I want to be able to balance both. So that's my question, and thank you, Brenda.
So boundaries are super important, and I know at least a few people in this room had no boundaries and started defining them and have learned how to work with them, so it can be done. The guilt, I would just advocate for yourself to give yourself grace, because you're already doing more than is humanly possible. You cannot be there every second of every day. You know that they're safe, as long as you know that they're safe. And another, this shouldn't just be a byproduct, but if you need to call 911 if somebody's in danger, just call 911. But you're doing everything you can possibly do. So you have a finite amount of energy that's already being exhausted by everything that you're doing. If you can give up 1/10 of that, you don't have this much rent space in my brain. Today I'm cutting your rent space in half. And any of that energy that you can give back to yourself in a healthy, loving way, you'll feel better about it. And there's no reason for any guilt in this room.
We have time for one more question.
I was looking for suggestions. If I live with my father, and sometimes he can get very angry about wanting to do things that he believes he should still be able to do that would put him at risk for safety. It becomes a shouting match at me, and it gets very frightening. And I've had a couple of situations where I just did not know how to handle it.
Thank you for that question. That's another good question. They do, on some level, they do know their limitations, but they don't like knowing there is a limitation. So if you can maintain their dignity as long as you can, that's super important for them. Is there a safer version of what he's trying to do? Let's say, then can you take the materials that he needs to try to do this and put them out of reach and just try redirecting? Oh, how much time? I don't think we have enough time to address that properly. That's a huge issue. Literally, I've had people hide the car keys. Again, I'm poor kid from the South, pull the coil wire so that the car won't start. That's effective. I'm sorry, it's hard.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Let's give her a round of applause. We're going to move into our special part of the day, which is our Caregiver Panel discussion. So this panel is going to bring together an incredible group of professionals in your community who not only serve caregivers in their work, but also understand caregiving on a deep and personal basis. So they'll be sharing their own stories and their professional insight, as well as their reflections on what it really means to care, carry, and to continue. So please help me and welcome our panelists. Jordana Lawrence, Program and Education Manager at the Alzheimer's Association. Michelle Rios, Family Consultant and Bilingual Pearls Coach at the Coast Caregiver Resource Center. And I have Janice Aharon-Ezer, Behavioral Health Clinical Specialist and Caregiver Navigator at Community Memorial Healthcare. All right, thank you so much for being here and sharing your stories with all of us. To get us started, I'd love to invite you to share what brought you into the world of caregiving, either personally, professionally, or both?
Okay, so can you hear me now? All right, great. So what started was definitely a personal journey. My mom had mixed dementia, and she started in her late 50s, early 60s with showing signs. And that kind of led myself on that journey of being the caregiver with my father and my other siblings, which was quite interesting because back in the day, my mom was showing signs back in the 90s. She passed away in 2008. And then I actually volunteered for 8 years as a facilitator for the Alzheimer's Association when I got a phone call saying, hey, we have an opening in Ventura County for at that time it was a program specialist, and we thought you should apply. So I thought, what do I have to lose? I didn't really expect to get it because my background wasn't in public health, and it was more from the personal journey of it. And lo and behold, I got the job, and I've been there for 8 years now.
My journey also started with a personal connection. Can you guys hear me now? Better? Sorry. So it was a personal journey that started my caregiving experience. My mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at the age of 60 when she was planning her retirement and a wonderful life ahead. Started with just being available for doctor's appointments, accompanying her, and then as her disease progressed, she lived with us. It was 24-hour care. And then it became a family affair with my son, my husband, my daughter also being involved, and my daughter-in-law being involved in her care and her journey. After she passed away, I wanted to do more for my community. We found ourselves lost in finding resources, so I wanted to bring resources to the community and to the Spanish-speaking population, so I started volunteering, creating support groups and exercise programs. And then I found my job at Coast Caregiver Resource Centers, where I could really work with caregivers and relate to them and what they were going through and help them connect to the resources that are available out there to help them.
I think we're on a theme here. Can you hear me? Like so many of you, I had no idea that I was a caregiver when all this was going on. But my journey started with two things. One was when my mother, who lived in Colorado, I live in Ventura, called me, her doctor, and said, your mother is parked right now in the entryway to our parking lot, and nobody can get in there, and she will not move her car, and we don't know where her keys are. We're not sure what's wrong. That was the first thing. The second thing was when her bank called and said, your mother is in the lobby of our bank. She's very agitated. She's screaming at people and telling us that people are stealing her money. Those two things were pretty shocking and led into a journey of many trips for me going back and forth when I was a young mother with children, married, going back and forth to Colorado to try to figure out what was going on with my mom, who had advanced Alzheimer's. Did not want to leave her place, didn't want to take showers, didn't want to, lose her car, all the things that Brenda just told us about. Had to take her car. Yes, Brenda, I did it. My mom was driving with an expired license. She was a very legally oriented person, but didn't care at that point, didn't know, got into multiple accidents, was driving with a patch on her eye. So I had to have my friend go and basically steal my mom's car. So that was my flight into caregiving. It was kind of a big immersion into the field. And then during COVID, a friend of mine, I'd always wanted to work at CMH, had all of our babies there, I live in Ventura, cherished hospital. A friend of mine told me that they wanted to start a caregiver navigator program, and I still didn't really know what that was, but I like to start things and do things. So I found out more about it and got hired and just very humbly say that everything I have learned is from all the amazing caregivers I've worked with.
Thank you. Was there a moment where each of you first realized, oh my gosh, I'm a caregiver? And how did that recognition change the way you saw yourself and the role that you played?
To be honest, I don't think I ever saw myself as a caregiver. I mean, back when I was really caregiving, that was not a word that we heard often or really at all. Even when I was going to support groups, it wasn't really, we were just doing it. I think that's a fairly new concept for all of us. And when you look back, it's like, oh yeah, I was a caregiver for a long time. But you never really realized it because you're so immersed in caregiving. You don't realize what you're doing.
Same here. I didn't realize I was a caregiver until long after I was over that caregiving journey. It was my pleasure and honor and responsibility as a daughter, so it was something that was part of growing up and something that I was giving back to my mom. And in our culture, in Spanish, there's not even a word for caregiver. When you say caregiver in Spanish, it's more of a professional word, not what you're doing for your loved one. So it was just ingrained that this is what we do. And of course did it with love, and although it was difficult, it was just a part of our journey together. So it wasn't until after she had passed and after I'd gotten involved with volunteer work that I started hearing the word caregiver, care partner, and associating it with what I'd done.
Yeah, I have to ditto what these two ladies said. I don't think I realized I was a caregiver or identified with the term until I worked in the Caregiver Navigator program. I, like Jordana was saying, and Michelle, was just doing what you need to do 1,000 miles away with a lot of stress and trying to keep safety and health and sanity at bay. You know, Rosalind Carter opened the Caregiving Institute, I don't remember what year, maybe some of you do. But still, in our culture, until more recently, I don't think that term has really been, expanded or well known. I'm not sure I like the term. I don't think it really says everything that you amazing people are doing. I wish there was another term. I just have no idea what it would be.
Thank you. So caregiving is full of contradictions. It's meaningful and exhausting, full of love and frustration, gratitude and grief. What emotions did you wrestle with the most when you were caring for your loved one? And did you find that you had to give yourself permission to get through those emotions?
I think I did have to give myself permission. I'm not sure that if I was going through it, if I really, I don't think I wanted to delve too much into the emotions because it kind of would waylay me. The grief would, I think, when you talk about just one emotion, I think grief, because mine was with dementia, which can be very slow. And I think that that's where the challenge is to acknowledge the emotions. Because by acknowledging the emotions, it's like a pressure cooker, right? You keep stuffing those emotions down, the steam is going to come out whether you like it or not. So if you're dealing with the emotions as you're going through it, you will do better. And that is one of the lessons that I learned.
Yeah, I think for us it was one of the first things I thought about when my mom was sick and that we were going to, I thought, hang on until they found a medication or some sort of treatment that would help Parkinson's. We needed to exercise, we needed to make sure she was eating right, we needed to make sure. So it started off as a journey of, we can do this, we got this. And then after years of struggling and seeing her decline, and then trying to keep her safe while she was trying to maintain her independence, and her place was where we started to experience some frustration. I would ask her to wait, I'd walk away, and then I'd come back, and she had tried to get up and she had fallen, and so trying to explain to her why she couldn't get up, and her listening to her daughter telling her, don't get up, that was a struggle. And then you feel guilty for a disagreement or for the way that she feels, for feeling frustrated. That was really difficult, and the only thing I could do is try to involve my family a little bit more, to have some time to practice yoga. And I know we talk about yoga, but that helps so much, the breathing, the patience, being able to see things a little bit differently. And then just connecting with other people that were going through the same thing, that were, you're not alone. But what really did it for me is I'd come across a book that had talked about burnout, and I realized everything that was happening was in that book, and I was experiencing burnout. And then it was like, it's okay, this is because I'm tired, this is because I've been on overdrive for so long. You worry that your loved one is going to fall, you worry that your loved one are they going to be okay, that this is getting worse, that we have doctor's appointments, that no one's helping her. You're in this state for so long that at some point something has to give. And so recognizing that helped a lot.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I dealt with any feelings, and I've been a licensed marriage and family therapist for over 30 years. I was just on, you got to do this. And I'm an only child, so I had no brothers and sisters to share it with, which has positives, like I didn't have to worry about anybody disagreeing, but the negatives, like I had nobody to share the load. Amazing husband who, was supportive and would watch the kids as many times as I had to go back and forth to Colorado. I was just kind of putting one foot in front of the other, and I think the major thing with me is a big feeling of responsibility, but wanting to make sure that I did the right thing.
So one of the hardest things for caregivers to do is to ask for help. Why do you think that is? And is there something that we can do to help change that mindset?
I think that when you're a caregiver, you're so in the throes of it that's an added responsibility, to daily life, to having kids and a husband and work and all those other things. And now suddenly you're a caregiver. And I think part of where we are missing, those of us who are in it, is that for some reason people aren't knowing what's out there. They're not knowing what's available in Ventura County. There is so much that's out there to help you. It's just you need to know that. And how do we get that information to you? Support groups are a great way to start. That was where I started and learned so much from being in support groups of what's available in my county, what was available to help. Even though my mother and father did not live in the county, it still gave me ideas and enough for me to do research to be able to find help for my parents. And I think that that's the biggest challenge, is helping caregivers to get the information to know that there's a lot out there to help.
And helping us accept that it's okay, and that we're maybe ahead of time knowing that, at some point we are going to need some help. I tried to do it all on my own and then accepted help from my family, but I remember my husband telling me, you need to get somebody to come in and help you. And I was offended because I thought, no, if I get somebody else, that means I can't do it. That means my mom is going to think that she's become a burden or that I don't want to do it. So I was always thinking about what the repercussions would be for how my mom would feel or how I would feel, instead of thinking of the caregiving could have helped us have some family time, have some downtime, have some recovery time. So I think talking about it early on, as soon as that encounter happens, as soon as you know that you're going to be on this caregiving journey, will make it a little bit more acceptable, and make it as part of the plan for caring for your loved one.
I mean, getting help is certainly important, and God knows I tried, but my mother's very feisty, so had plans before I moved her to Ventura to me. For her neighbors, totally were wonderful. Cooked meals. My mother would not answer the door throughout the meals, would not eat them. I had my friend take her car. That was very helpful. I hired caregivers. My mother would slam the door in their face, wouldn't let them in. So it's sometimes, getting help can be difficult depending on what's going on with the patient, and very difficult from afar for sure. But one thing that was very lucky is one of my very best friends from the time I was 9, her mother, strangely enough, had Alzheimer's also. And her mother had some very unique symptoms. She was no longer oriented to herself. So every time she came in front of a mirror, she thought a man was chasing her, and she was really scared. And so my friend Vicki and I were confounded by all these things, we just didn't know about. Our culture doesn't talk about old age and dementia and death, and we don't do that. So we kind of helped each other together go, oh my God, look what's happening, and what do we do about it?
So when we think about the challenges of asking for help, those challenges we see also in putting yourself first as a caregiver. We know professionally and personally that caregivers often put themselves last, and they struggle to care for themselves. How did you learn to care for yourself while you were caring for your loved one?
In some ways, for me, it was because I lived a distance. So I would get the breaks because I wasn't doing it 24 hours like with Michelle. She was doing it 24 hours. I was able to get breaks because I didn't live with my mom. But still, I had 4 jobs at the time and was working quite a bit. So I would have to force myself to take breaks. And what I would do, because actually a counselor told me to at least find 10 minutes. And she said, and you can find 10 minutes in a day to do something just for yourself. Well, no, I couldn't actually. So I took the 10 minutes and I added up what it would be for 7 days. And I think that's 70 minutes. And then I would go, because I was living in Santa Barbara at the time, I went to La Cumbre Plaza, and I would go at twilight time. And I would walk the mall. I wouldn't go into the stores. I would just walk the mall, and I would look inside the windows and see that people were laughing and they were buying stuff for their place. And, if there was the holidays, they were just enjoying themselves. And it's like, okay, there is life after this. There are people that are still moving forward. And that's what helped me when I was going through it.
I never learned to put myself first. I always just kept going, and unfortunately started to have a lot of health issues. And I believe that it was my body telling me that, either I settle down or it was going to kind of settle me down. But a doctor told me, I needed to incorporate some kind of movement, some downtime. So that's when I started doing the yoga, but even that was from my room. I'd close the door, and then my son and my daughter-in-law would take care of my mom, and I would do the yoga it was like a 20-minute yoga a few times a week. And it helped a lot, but I never thought to put myself first. And unfortunately, I feel like I paid for it. So, and I'm still paying for it. It's taken a lot of years to try to recover my health. And so I really try to stress that with the caregivers that we work with, is to find time that we have to put ourselves first so that we can be there to take care of our loved ones. Even if it's just for a short time, even if it's, an hour walk a day of just staring at trees, listening to sounds, even if it's, spending time with your friends, we need that connection. We need to be outside of that role for a little while so that we can continue with our loved ones.
I think the term self-care is a pretty recent term. It was not around when I was taking care of my mom. So I think I was a bad role model with that, simply because I couldn't do it. And that is true of many of the caregivers that we all work with. These terms sound great, but some of you in our audience today are not able to do that. There's people that are taking care of multiple people in multiple situations. And so I'm happy that it's a term, and I'm happy that it's something that we're thinking about today, and thinking about, and like the virtual room and just all the meditation and things online since COVID make it easier. But in my time, I went from being, my husband and I had 3 kids in a year and a half, and I had just started my first full-time job after being a stay-at-home mom at Cal Lutheran University, and so I was either with my mother or I was back in my life doing all those things. One thing I would say is that there's different ways to help, and my husband's big bear hugs helped. His love language is cooking. He was cooking up a storm. I love to eat. You know, there's different ways that people can help. Maybe they can't come and take care of your loved one, but if there's something you really like or something they can do to support you in a different way, that might be what you need at that moment. That is very helpful. So we have to be creative.
Can I add one thing? When I work with families, I use the analogy of when you're flying on an airplane and the flight attendant is going through all the safety measures, and they get to that point of when the oxygen masks drop down, who do you put on first? Exactly. You put it on yourself first. And that somehow helps to put that clarity in, and also takes care of the word guilt. Because we all have guilt if we take time for ourselves, then we're feeling guilty because we've taken time for ourselves. But in reality, it's a necessity for you to be able to carry on to being the caregiver.
So switching to your professional work, what barriers still exist that you see preventing caregivers from accessing help, and what kind of services and programs do you see making the greatest impact for our family caregivers here today?
Professionally, I would say the fact that dementia is, because that's my realm, I work for the Alzheimer's Association, and certainly seeing more conversations coming out, more areas of organizations knowing about dementia and offering services to help families with dementia is a huge plus, because certainly when I started 8 years ago, not so much. And it was getting harder. Hospice had a hard time recognizing dementia as, at least the 4 top ones, as a terminal illness. They now recognize it, so families are being able to get more help. So I still think the hardest thing is getting that information out to families to know what's available in their community.
Same here, getting the information out, knowing what is available. And one of the things that we see our clients struggling with the most is, how do I get care for my loved one? I have to work. I don't have the money to pay for a 24-hour caregiver or for assisted living. So how do we maintain? How do we stay afloat with this? And one of the things that has helped the most, I think, are programs like this, where we're connecting with other caregivers and other programs in the area. We're collaborating. We're getting the word out there. You're connecting with the resources. You're connecting with each other. And you get to know of other programs that are out there or how other people have done it. Support groups, I think, are great. People are always hesitant because they think they're gonna, it's all about just sharing feelings. That is part of it, but you're also, again, connecting with other people that know, that have experienced, that have connected with other sources. So this is a really good way to know what's out there as well, and to build your support team, or to figure out how to build your support team.
So I think a barrier that I would love to see changed, and it's a big one, is for Medicare to have the same caregiving benefit to it. Medicare is for older people or younger people that have significant types of disabilities, so people that need caregiving. So that's huge. It kind of piggybacks on what Michelle is saying. I would like, if you're in the audience and you take care, you're a family caregiver for someone who is not elderly, maybe has drug and alcohol, mental health, developmental disabilities, or something else, if you would mind raising your hand. Is there anybody like that in the audience? Thank you. So that, I think, is a barrier. When we talk about caregiving, it's really almost always about seniors and a lot of times dementia, and there's good reason for that because it's a huge issue. But we have a huge swath of people, developmental disabilities, mental health, substance abuse, and other related things. They're caregivers going through a lot, just like everybody in this room, and we don't really recognize them as caregivers, and there aren't as many resources. And many times it's very difficult because the people they're taking care of are adults over the age of 18. So they're limited in what they can do for people. So I feel that there's a barrier in our understanding of caregiving and resources for those people.
So if you could speak directly to the caregivers sitting here today who may feel overwhelmed or unseen, what would you say to them?
You are not alone. You are seen. And just to believe that, and that when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel guilty, when you feel scared, all of those are very normal feelings, and it's okay, because one of the things that you have to give yourself credit for is that you're still being a caregiver to your loved one. That has not changed. So you need to pat yourself on the back and give yourself credit for what you are accomplishing.
I would say two things. One, when things get difficult, when you're feeling frustrated or sad or guilty or just not sure, I think for me, remembering the relationship you have with your loved one, you know, what memories, just remembering that you're a daughter, remembering that you're a wife, remembering that connection to the person, I think has been very helpful. The other thing that I would suggest is that you're in a really good place, and there's flyers back there with a lot of resources out there, so I would suggest that you grab the flyers, and even if you don't need them now, you may need them later. Every once in a while, just go through the information that you have, if you can keep it in one place, in a binder or in a folder, and then just go through it. You never know, you don't need it now, you may need it later, you'll forget about it. Somebody will mention it. You may come across somebody that has asked or is in the situation, and you say, oh, I heard about this program. So I would just collect the resources and connect with people.
I think there's a lot of positive things going on. I think there's a couple that are personal to you that you can access today, and some of them are structural that you may not feel for a while. So I'll start with the ones you can access. I do a caregiver support group at CMH. It's been going on for 2 years. It's an amazing group. So glad that some of you are here today. And one of the things we talk about in the group is that this experience of being a caregiver will take you places that you may never have touched in your life if you weren't in the vulnerable space you are in right now as a caregiver. Death, anticipatory grief, loss, hope, a chance to repair a relationship with someone, very deep stuff. And as a human being, you have an opportunity in a really good support group with a therapist, with friends, with yourself, to really go to a deeper place, to become a deeper person. That can happen right now. The second thing is just relying on your own integrity. I work with a lot of people who do not love their parents, do not love the spouse who was abusive to them, and they're taking care of them. And that's a really tough ride to go through. And we talk a lot about, like, how do you get through this? It's thinking about your own sense of integrity. At the end of this whole episode with these people, whether you love them or not, or you're close to them or not, what are you going to be left with as a human being? What is your sense of integrity? And if you feel that you did the right thing. So those are personal, but structural, there's a lot of good things going on. Master plan for aging and community health needs assessment. In our county, the community health needs assessment that was just done, seniors, the older population, and caregiving were in the very top concerns of people in our county. Hopefully that will drive services and resources. It's on everybody's mind. We know that we have a silver tsunami. We know the rate of dementia is high. Addiction, developmental disabilities, mental illness, those are not going away. So those are all things that hopefully will bring resources. And the other thing that's very helpful is there's people in this room, different people that are involved in the world of caregiving, like Blair, Maureen, Sue, Jordana. We have started a Ventura County and Brenda, we've started a Ventura County Caregiver Coalition. And we're bringing together all the entities in our community that are focused on the issue of caregiving. And part of our job is going to be to bring, not to create all the resources, we can't do that, but we're going to bring them all together so that they're more easily accessible. And we want to continue driving the area of caregiving to our county, so that, and maybe Sacramento, hopefully Sacramento, so that we can provide more resources, and it continues to be an area, you continue to be people that we are focused on helping, and we do that best together.
So when you think about the power of caregiving, what gives you hope for the future, personally, professionally, or as a community?
I would say that I have hope overall because of how much I've seen changed over the years that I've been here, and how much better and more accessible the availability to help families deal with things. I think we need more, maybe more employees in those places to be able to help, because the demand is going to be so big, but there's still so much in this county to help that other counties don't have, so we're very lucky.
I say the same as Jordana. There's just, I feel more attention to the struggles and to the situation. We have a lot of community leaders that are coming together to help. So that's what gives me hope, is the attention and the collaboration and the work that we're doing to help the community.
Yeah, I agree. Everything I just said gives me hope. It gives me hope that you're here today. It gives me hope that we now know what a caregiver is. Like Jordana said, had no idea what that was before. Self-care at my caregiving group, I hand out Caregiver Bill of Rights. I would have had no idea what that was before. So I think there's a lot of help, and there's a lot of really nice people in the world, despite everything that might seem crazy. So there are people there to support and help.
Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. And let's open it up for questions that the audience may have. You're not free to go just yet.
Sorry, I didn't mean. Sorry.
Thank you so much. I was interested in your comment about Ventura County having more resources than many other California counties. Could you explain a little bit more what that comparison looks like?
Well, I think it's just from me living in Santa Barbara County and also with my parents being in LA County. Coming to Ventura County, it was a bit of a change because I guess it's the accessibility that I find down here. You have a lot more hospice organizations down here. You have more organizations like Camarillo Health Care District, like CMH. You know, AAA was helpful to be able to help families that deal with a multitude. It doesn't just have to be what I deal with in dementia, but in all sorts of things, to be able to get help. That to me was amazing, because in Santa Barbara, they have 2 hospice organizations. I think they're expanding, but down here there's multiple, right? So you have choices that if you don't like one organization or one hospice, you have a choice. You can go somewhere else. And that's what I liked, is that availability and that choice.
Thank you. My question is about long-term care. So for those of us who don't have the long-term care insurance, I've heard rumors that possibly Sacramento is considering adding a feature like that to California residents. So have you heard anything about that?
I've heard just a mention, or maybe it was an idea of it with regards to Medicare and long-term services possibly being discussed. to be included with Medicare. But again, it was an idea during a discussion. I'm not sure how far they are with it or where it's going.
Sorry, I don't know either.
Are you talking about the assisted living assistance or assistance in the home? They're working on it. We do have a waiver program in the county that we'd be more than happy. Yes, we do. That we'd be more than happy to talk about with you. There's an agency that's running a form of a waiver program. So, another question?
Oh, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate all the information. I have many questions. The first question, it has to do with, is there a Saturday daycare? Right now, Camarillo Health has a wonderful Monday through Friday, but I need a block of Saturdays. Is there anywhere where I can drop off my loved one on a Saturday morning?
I don't know about anyone else's. I think about Oxnard Family Circle, Among Friends. They're all Monday through Friday places.
Monday through Fridays.
That's tough.
Are you finished? I have one over here. First of all, I want to thank Camarillo Health Care District. We've participated for 3 years now. And what I like about that program is there are so many opportunities for a caregiver and a diagnosed person to come together and participate in things. And that's my question to you. I know that there's a lot of concern for caregivers. We're pretty weird over at our house. But what we have found has worked for us so successfully is to find those places where we can actually participate together. And I know, Brenda, thank you for your humor, because that is the most important thing I got out of your presentation. But what we've found, and my question to you is, do you find success in the concept? Because yes, sometimes a person has left the building, but we've focused on the part of that person who's still in my building, in our building. And therefore, do you find success in finding places where you can still go together and participate? It still is a relief for me because I have experts there, and it's a relief for the diagnosed person because they know they're in good hands, but we both get to be there together rather than worrying about separating.
I had a support group for Spanish-speaking community people living with Parkinson's, and it was really focused on the person with their family. And that seemed to work really well because it was a way for them to reconnect. It was, they sometimes would bring their grandkids, sometimes their daughters, sometimes their parents and wives, and we would do activities together. They would do activities together. The caregivers really connected with each other. And then some of the activities they would do, they would take it home and do it with grandkids or at other parties. So that seemed to work really well with the support group that we had, and worked even better than when I tried to target it just towards the person living with the disease or the illness. So I would say yes, those programs are successful, and I've found success in them.
First, thanks to the three of you and Janice. Can you go into a little detail of forming a caregiver coalition?
You want to know more about it? Is that what you're saying, Carol? Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's a number of us here that are with you. Our hearts are with you, and we recognize, and some of it is based out of the Master Plan for Aging, Community Health Needs Assessment, our own experience, that we want to be able to help caregivers. And we cannot do that alone, and we can't do it siloed, right? So CMH and Camarillo Health Care District, we are pulling ourselves together so that we can be a united resource for the county, for caregivers, and we can do things like present symposiums, affect legislation, talk to our Board of Supervisors, ensure that services remain for people in our county. And so we have pulled together, are you going to write another article about this, Carol? I knew it. I could tell she's taking notes. She does beautiful articles for the Ventura Breeze. Thank you for doing that. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it really is bringing us together and, making sure that we're not duplicating efforts, that we can try to fill the gaps for people. And it really is a movement to help caregivers.
My question is about resources for a very specific situation. I know that many of the people that need care have an extensive family that can act as caregivers. In my case, I'm taking care of my wife that has Parkinson's and her sister. But in our particular case, neither her sister nor my wife have any children, not any other living relatives. My concern is, if I pass away, what will happen to them? Are there any resources to clarify what options are there to plan ahead of time?
I would suggest working with one of the agencies. We have family consultants or care navigators that can walk you through the situation. So you work one-on-one with a consultant as long as you're a caregiver, and that could be anything from education, counseling, consultation, but also planning ahead for what will happen in situations like this. So contact our agencies and we'll work with you to put a plan together that would that you would find beneficial. And if it doesn't work for you, we can always try something else, but we'll guide you through it.
And I think it's really good the way you're thinking. Every family I work with, I'm always looking to them to work on the highest time of need and what's going to happen in the future. Even if it's not right now, what would you do if? So I think it's great that you're thinking in that direction.
Just to add, when we're talking about like medical power of attorneys, legal power of attorneys, only 25% of Americans have any of their paperwork done. So that means 75% don't. So when you're going into the ER or you're going into places where you really need to know, having that conversation and really understanding what the needs are of your loved one is going to help you, especially if you're dealing with someone with dementia, where they will come a point where they are not going to be able to vocalize what they want. So having those conversations early rather than later is really important.
Thank you to everyone on the panel. So grateful to be here today. My question is going back to the question, I think that's related to the one back here on the ALW, the waiver, the assisted living waiver for Ventura County, and what agency is it?
So it's not the assisted living, but there's a different waiver. So we'd be more than happy to talk more about that with you later. There's some, yes, we could talk more about that.
Okay, thank you, Blair. And then finally, going back to this question about future planning, I myself am an only child taking care of my father, and I always am concerned about what happens to Dad if something were to happen to me. And so would Ventura County Agency on Aging, like who is the best agency to reach out for those planning? I do have DPOA and all of the things in order, but I just don't know who is the best group to reach out for that sort of a thing.
Coast Caregiver Resource Center is a great resource. So if you're already familiar with it, then I'll repeat. I mean, we can help one-on-one, and it's long-term for as long as you need help. And as resources become available or changes come to the county or to the state, we're aware of them, and we can, help get you to the right place. Coast Caregiver Resource Center, and there is a flyer in the back.
And just as an aside, I would reach out to your extended family and friends so that you're not feeling, I know how you feel, so that you're not feeling the weight of all this by yourself. There may be other ways they can support how you make this decision or be a part of, your dad's care or something. So keep it inside too.
We have time for about 2 more questions.
Thank you. You mentioned the SMH support group. Where and when is that? And then the other thing was, who knows about the Pearls program? Because that was a wonderful thing that they came, it was the most wonderful self-care program. They'd come to your house of social work. It was just really a great self-care guide. And I so if you'd like to expand on that a little bit, and then the information about the support group, that when and where, not the virtual, but a face-to-face, is there one?
Yeah, there's numerous. There's Camarillo Health Care District, Coast
That's
Caregiver
virtual.
Resource Center. They'll comment. Mine is in person at CMH, so there's numerous opportunities. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then with regards to the Pearls program, the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging has it right now. I'm a Pearls coach for San Luis Obispo County, but I agree it is a wonderful program, especially when you're finding that you're not taking that time for yourself, just putting a plan together and to reconnect. Brenda's also a Pearls coach, so we highly recommend that. And the VC AAA has it now. So Pearls is a program to encourage active and rewarding lives. And it's for seniors or 60 years and older. You work with a one-on-one coach. It's about 4 to 6 months. And it really helps with, my coworker described it as resilience, building resilience to the challenges of aging. So this could be completing projects, any problems that you feel that you're carrying, reconnecting with family, getting physical activity. So we really work on a lot of things and bring them together. Social activities, pleasurable activities, physical exercise, and problem solving. So we'll work with you for about 4 to 6 months, and then by the end of the program, you will have the tools to be able to identify those things that are, on your mind or going in the wrong direction, and then you know how to work through them in the future.
Good morning. Thank you. God bless you all. The youth programs in Ventura County, where students can get time, like their community service hours and things. Are there any programs that incorporate the youth to help? Because they're a lot younger than me.
Who is asking that? Where's that coming from? Oh, okay. I may not be the best person to answer that, but all of our kids went to Foothill, and it was mandatory to do community service hours. Is that where you're coming from? Which I think is awesome to shape our youth. So, they would have to get fingerprint and background check, but I know our kids and other kids have served the elderly community at not skilled nursing homes, but like assisted living. There's City Corp. There's different types of, I don't know, Camarillo Health Care District, if they do that. But yeah, I would think, where do your kids go to school? Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. So guess what? You just gave us a good idea on our Ventura County Caregiver Coalition website. We should have, how can the youth help? We should have a rollout of everything they can do. Thank you for that idea.
Real quick, I would also suggest they contact Caregivers Assisting the Elderly. That's a program that sends volunteers out to help with anything from small projects to just spending some time. And I believe they are looking for for help. So, little shout out there. Oh, is that her? Close to 25 years. The students do not have to be background checked, but they are led by a background checked adult volunteer and staff coordination. It's a wonderful program. Thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah, and not sure why I didn't remember that, because I was a volunteer and I took high school kids with me to seniors' houses, so it just kind of went right over my head.
I want to take a moment to respond to the gentleman's question about what was going to happen to his loved one if something happened to him. And I am a caregiver for my adult son with a severe brain injury, and we've wrestled with this because we'll pass away before he will probably. And we found out about a special needs trust that we set up for him, and it won't affect his Medicare or Medi-Cal. He will be able to, from that trust, be able to pay for things that he needs, and it won't affect his Medi-Cal. And I would suggest, and I don't know, maybe you know, Blair, the Camarillo Health Care District has attorney time for free, and so does Senior Concerns has attorney time for free. And I don't know that they would set one up for you, but they would give you guidance about how to do it. And I also know from my experience with the Brain Injury Center that there's a company that will take on your loved one without any outlay of cost. I don't have the name of that company, but there are resources that are available, not widely known, but there are resources that are available because we worry about what's going to happen to our loved ones if something happens to us.
So we're gonna do something fun. Woo! Yeah. We're gonna find the humor in every day, knowing that it's okay to laugh. I want to take just a quick minute to thank our sponsors for believing in the mission behind this event: Ventura County Medical Resource Foundation, Joseph P. Reardon Funeral Home and Cremation Service, and Boyko and Reardon Telegraph Road Mortuary and Cremation for their sponsoring this part of the symposium. So it's my pleasure now to introduce our next speaker, Dani Klein Modisett, who is the CEO and founder of Laughter on Call, Breaking Barriers and Building Bonds One Laugh at a Time. So I will turn this over to Dani.
Oh my goodness, so exciting. Hi, everyone. Woo! Welcome, welcome. It's such an honor to be with all of you. Yes, I am Dani. Yes, I am the founder of Laughter on Call, which I'll talk about in a bit. But I was so privileged to hear just a few of the remarks earlier about taking care of yourselves and showing up even when you don't want to, and what that means. And it reminded me, so I'm going to tell you my backstory of how I got here, but just quickly, it reminded me, I've been an actor and a comedian, a lot of things, but I was on a show called The Doctors, a daytime talk show. Anybody remember that? Yes, right? And it was a story about the story that I'm about to tell you. And one of the panelists, we were talking about caring for my mother and using a comedian to do, which I will explain further. But they panned over to the panelists, and the oldest panelist was this man, I don't remember his name, and he was crying. He was wiping his eyes. And of course, the camera moved in, because that's good TV, and said, "Sir, what is going on?" And he said, "Well, I'm just realizing that I could have done more for my mother," right? And so that became such an integral part of what I'm passionate about in terms of teaching and sharing about finding laughter where you least expect it, because what I realized is you don't want to be that guy. And you don't want, I mean, you might want his money, but you don't want to have those feelings, right? Of like, I wish I'd done more. And I also teach a memoir class to 85 to 100-year-olds. And sometimes their stories are similar about what they could have done, and they live that. So all this to say that I honor you for being here and wanting to learn more and how you can do more, and that ultimately it's a really great decision for you, as was said on the previous panel. Very long intro that I've never given anywhere, but I think that it was important to say. So, okay, here we go. Yeah. So, I'm going to start with this quick story of how I got here, right? I woke up on a couch 8 years ago in New York City to the sound of footsteps, right? And it was my mother in her nightgown pacing. Mom, what's wrong? Oh, Mom, what is it? Oh, it's just, I stand up. Mom, are you all right? Yes, it's just, I should have married Van Johnson. Sidebar, my mother was married to my father, Victor, for 40 years. So this is just a little upsetting. Mom, Van Johnson? Van Johnson, the matinee idol? Van Johnson was gay. Well, we didn't know that then. Okay, so we've laughed. That's really the whole point, is that we've laughed, because the value of laughter, immediately we're present and we feel connected and we're together. And of course, it's also not something that people usually associated with Alzheimer's. I mean, I know I didn't. I didn't realize it that night, but that was actually the beginning of my education, not only about Alzheimer's, but about the unique power of shared laughter for creating connection, even in the most disorienting circumstances. So I had flown to New York from Los Angeles that night because after a call with my mother's friend Marilyn, your mother is arguing with waiters and she can't fill out a deposit slip. Well, arguing with waiters, not that unusual for my mother. She was a tough lady, but not being able to fill out a deposit slip, my mother worked in real estate. She was a real estate broker, so that really gave me pause. Of course, in the light of day, I could see in the morning that something was off, right? All the cabinets were open, there were stacks of unopened mail, and plates of half-eaten food with dog hair on them. Yes, because at 78, my mother had decided to take in a rescue pug, a wheezing, traumatized rescue pug. So my sister came in the next day, and we went to a doctor, and we heard two words that people are more afraid of now than a cancer diagnosis. It's Alzheimer's, right? So how did I get from Alzheimer's to laughter? Okay, well, let's start at the beginning. I almost died when I was born. Yeah, that's where it gets really funny. No, it isn't funny. But I do have the letter that my parents wrote to the doctor thanking him for saving my life. And pretty much from that time until probably right now, I've spent my life committed to making people laugh, to earning my place here by making people laugh, right? Some people want big homes and fancy cars and health insurance, but what has gotten me out of bed, you can, healthcare community, you can laugh at that. What has gotten me out of bed since then is the chance to make someone, anyone, laugh. And did you know that we are 30 times more likely to laugh with other people? And you probably know this, that the Surgeon General declared loneliness more dangerous for us than smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And now, also, laughter is proven to break through feelings of isolation. So, therefore, by making people laugh, I am more than earning my place here. I am rescuing people, one laugh at a time. Yes. Until the laughter stops. We keep my mother in her apartment as long as we can, but then within a few years, it becomes clear that she needs to move to California to be near me and my family. And I feel terrible about this. I move her here. I find a place. Some of you may be familiar with Silverado, right? So I was drawn to Silverado because their whole mission is memory care, and as opposed to other communities where there was a lot of, that's the memory area. I didn't like that. I don't like kind of the inherent shame-based approach, even though I appreciate other things now more. Anyway, I moved her to Los Angeles, and within, I thought it was a good idea, but within weeks she became depressed and withdrawn. And I felt terrible about this. I've been a comedian for 20 years. I taught stand-up at UCLA for 10. I've even written books about laughter and marriage. One of them called Take My Spouse, Please, but it's about staying. And I can't make my own mother laugh. And I'm at my dentist, and you know, because it's Los Angeles, she's a life coach. And I say, oh, I feel so guilty. And she said, you have nothing to feel guilty about. And I said, but I can't, I brought my mother here and I can't make her laugh. And I don't know, maybe I need to hire someone else. Maybe I need to hire, you know, someone not her daughter to do it. And she said, oh, that's a good idea. You should do that. So I put up on Facebook, looking for comedian interested in gerontology paid gig. That's the biggest laugh that line has ever gotten right here in this room, because you all know. So my phone rang immediately within 5 minutes, and it was a comedian living in Los Angeles who loves seniors. She's sitting on park benches talking, getting them to tell their stories. So I invited the woman over and to meet my mother, and she came in, and first she told some jokes and, you know, nothing. But then she had another instinct, which we can all appreciate. She got at eye level with my mother, and she made eye contact with her, and she told the truth. I know, you don't want to talk to me. No, you're probably thinking, who is this schmuck just talking to me? And my mother heard the word schmuck, and her eyes lit up. Schmuck, she said. Like she was getting away with something. And then the comedian, being a comedian, had to top her. That's right, schmuck. And then my mother said schmuck. And then it was like this, like, schmuck off between the two of them. And she's laughing. And I thought, that's what I want. And then, and this is very important, the woman handed my mother a glass of water, and she took it. Because trust had been created through laughter. That's another byproduct of laughing with people. And I don't know if you know, but Forbes has also reported about using laughter for to create trust. Laughter can be used to quickly create trust. And another fact, in fact, for people facing Alzheimer's, the University of Iowa discovered that in cognitive decline, emotion outlasts memory, which means, in this instance, right, they won't remember the joke, but the feeling of laughter stays with them. So I hire the woman on the spot, 8 hours a week, and it works. My mother starts eating again and joining in her community, laughing, even for the time the comedian isn't there. So, oh, and then I wrote an article about the experience for AARP magazine. Yes, and I even have the AARP magazine. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, I thought I had the logo on this one. Okay, anyway, the point is, I wrote this article for AARP magazine, and I got hundreds of requests for comedians all over the world. So I launched this business, Laughter on Call, right? There's a little logo up there, or here. And we do exactly that. We work one-on-one with people and to create connection through laughter. And I also do, because executive directors quickly ask, well, can you teach people how to do this? And so I started doing that as well. And so, no surprise, my mother and I found laughter. And I'm so grateful that I figured this out. I realized that the problem wasn't that I was her daughter. The problem was that I was showing up as a tense perfectionist. And as soon as I realized that, I started using the tools that I'd been teaching for decades, like showing up and letting go of the moment before, and accepting and embracing imperfection. And that's how we got to the place where we could laugh together. And I'm super grateful that I figured this out before she died. She died 5 years ago. And also really grateful for the timing, because a month later, COVID hit. And we were locked out from all, obviously, this was the most vulnerable population. And so I started something called Lunchtime Laughter virtually. It met Monday through Friday from 12 to 12:30. And it was meant for caregivers and their people in order to get some comic relief using Zoom, which who knew? I didn't even know what that was, but I have a younger staff. And pretty quickly, perfectly lucid people were showing up who just wanted that unique power of laughter, and they wanted to feel connection. And so now we've worked with hundreds of companies as well. But this is my heart. This is what I'm here to talk about today. Oh my goodness, there's the logo. See, this is why I have to make one of my own tools embrace imperfection, because otherwise, where would I be right now? I would be, okay. The most important thing I learned, and what we're going to talk about today, is it's okay to laugh. And connection with humor is not a laughing matter. It's a vitally important part of being human and a part of the caregiving toolkit, if you will. So here we go. I just like to also just set the stage for anybody who doesn't know about the physical and emotional impact of laughter. We're going to just review that really quickly, okay? So laughter is good for us. Let's see if I can get this to work. And later I'll juggle. No, okay. So all right, I'm not going to do that. Here we go. Stress hormones, isolation, tension, and pain go down. Facial muscle engagement, endorphins, oxygen to the lungs, human connection up. And little known fact, laughter burns calories. Because that's, I know, what everyone cares about now is calories. All right, here we go. So now why laughter specifically for elders? So we talked about it creating trust, right? Laughing with people instantly creates trust. So in senior care, this means a greater emotional well-being and better health outcomes and less resistance to care, right? If someone trusts you, they're more likely to respond to your suggestions. So also, now this is pretty new information that it helps reduce the risk of dementia. An NIH study found a greater variety of laughter occasions in individual and social settings was associated with a reduced risk of dementia. So this is pretty interesting because I very much have, I don't know if you are all aware that Dick Van Dyke turned 100. And, you know, and his best friend Mel Brooks at 99 is like talking about, and all of these comedy guys, Carl Reiner, they all seem to live forever. James Burrows, they live like, and I feel like this supports that idea of laughing and community and social connection. So yeah, and those are the two. Okay, so we are going to do this. We are going to talk about specifically three comedians' tools. It used to be 8, then it was 5. Now I realize, you know what? It's 3. If you leave here with these 3 tools, you're going to have a better experience, and that's what matters. But first, we're going to breathe. Lord knows I could breathe. I should breathe, right? And so why do I talk about breath? Obviously, if I didn't tell you to breathe, you would still breathe, God willing. But intentional breathing, right? And I always talk about it being the first building block of self-care, right? It's free. That's what usually my staff always likes to scream out. Dani says it's free. Right, breathing is free. It's something that we all do, costs nothing. It gives you a pause, and it positively affects our level of patience. So I think what I'd like to do with everybody, if everybody can, is do a little warm-up. Can we do a little warm-up? Can we stand up? Can we stand up? All right, very cool. So I don't know how to do this and hold my microphone. Can you hear me? I have a roadie. Thank you so much, Maureen. Maureen, everyone. Yay. Thank you so much. Okay, so terrific. So this is what I want to do. Oh, you're already ahead of us. That was what I was going to say to do. Okay, we're all going to take a deep breath and lift our arms up. And then just let your arms go. Okay, we're going to get our arms back up. And we are going to reach for our favorite dessert and say it out loud. Oh, donuts. And let it go. Great. Last time. Reach up. And we're reaching for a goal, something for ourselves, something for a family member. Just something. Say it. Great. And we're going to roll out our shoulders. Thank you. Nice. You're one step ahead. This is a very fast group. Okay. Forward. And then I saw this lovely lady with the headband was already rolling her head. So let's roll our head to the right, all the way around. And then the other way. And feel free to make a noise. And all of this is free. And you can do it in the bathroom when nobody's looking. All right, and now what I want to do, we're going to do this, but we're going to make a game out of it, right? And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to do 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, as fast as you can. 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Woo! All right. Awesome. Are we warmed up? Great. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to do is a tongue twister. You can all sit down now. Thank you so much. And thank you so much. Yes. Okay. So we're going to do this tongue twister because we want to get our face warmed up. In fact, let's all just warm up our faces a minute. Let's chew some gum up. Let's chew some gum down. Let's put it all around. Now, I know this is goofy, and you all don't seem to mind, frankly, but which is fantastic because you appreciate how important it is as caregivers to have some freedom to bring whatever nonverbal communication you need to the moment to connect. You all know this instinctively. So another great tool, right? The tongue twister. This is just, it's actually good for memory, it's good for the brain, and it's just plain silly. So we are going to do this, and we're going to say this 3 times as fast as we can. Ready? 1, 2, 3. If practice makes perfect, and perfect needs practice, then I'm practically perfect and perfect. If practice makes perfect, perfect practice, practically perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Round of applause. Yes, I've been doing that 7 years. It never sounds good or right, and it doesn't matter. It's just the commitment to doing it and letting yourself be imperfect. Awesome. Great. So the first tool I want to talk about, which I've already talked about because it's so much a part of definitely being a comedian, but also being a human, right? And I always say, you know, when I was doing stand-up, if you say a joke and it bombs, you can't go in the bathroom and cry. I mean, you can, and I have. But you really need to embrace it, move on, and we're going to talk about letting go of the moment before. It's another example of letting go of the moment before, but you need to embrace the imperfection. And this is so true in caregiving. As we all know, I do remember bathroom situations where, you know, several, was that me? No. Oh, okay. I got a new phone. Anything's possible. And someone would come out of the bathroom, my mother would come out of the bathroom with like 2 pair of underwear or something all askew. And rather than be upset, right, you have to have a sense of humor. Okay, so embrace imperfection. Imperfect is okay. In fact, it's comedy gold, certainly in improvising as well. Why? Accepting imperfection releases tension. Yes, just talking about it. We identify with the humanity of it. It immediately creates connection. If I share with you something that I thought was supposed to look one way, and now it doesn't look that way, and we just call it out, and then we connect in that way. So, and we find connection through it. I'm such a genius. Genius. Okay, right. So this, I always like to share this little comedy behind the scenes because it's relevant. As a comedian, you have a set list. You're going to do your grocery store bit, your kid bit, your divorce bit, maybe, your whatever your bits are. And then a tray of drinks drops in front of you. And it's now, you have to work with what is in the moment, or the audience knows that there's something dishonest about what's happening. And this is true of caregiving. You have your plan for the day. We're going to do this. We're going to color. We're going to have a snack. We're going to do this. And Lord only knows what's going to happen. Like, you don't know. And so you need to, like, stay flexible, stay present, and not become agitated yourself. Because something else that I've learned in this process the last 7 years, the gerontology school at Harvard, they did a study, and people who are being cared for by depressed people have a 10% greater decline. So I always like sharing that, because as caregivers, it's not really a caregiver instinct to take care of yourself. Like, you're the last person you're going to take care of. But somehow knowing that you taking care of yourself is helping you take care of the person, I think is a really important fact to share. Okay, so here we go. Now, we are going to talk about yes and. How exciting. Has anyone ever taken an improv class here? Okay, I see you. Excellent, excellent. So, yes and is 2 words, and you know that already, and it's incredibly helpful for communication. And it's the backbone of improv, because when you're doing improv and your scene partner says something, you want to build on their idea so that you can create a scene. If you've ever been to any kind of improv, you'd know that, you'd understand that. And this is true, it turns out, in all human communication, and particularly in caregiver, in dementia. And I don't want to only, is everyone here in the dementia space? No, because I heard someone talk about a brain injury. So, okay, it doesn't really, it's not just dementia focused, this tool. This is for, like, marriage. This is for your teenager. So, okay, so yes and. Say yes, say it out loud. Okay, let's do that. Let's say yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes and. Okay, we're going to do more of that, so hang on. Here we go. Okay, now, something people don't understand. They think, oh, yes, that means I agree with you. No, it does not. Yes and basically says, basically what you're saying, yes, I hear you. That's all you're saying. Yes, I hear you, and I'd like to know more. Yes, and have you considered XYZ? Yes, and my idea includes blah, blah, blah. Or yes, and we're going to do that, but let's go do this first. So it is just an amazing tool. It's remarkable, the difference between yes, maybe, and yes, but. So I think what I'd like to do is can I have 4 volunteers? Oh, come on, you were so with me. I see one woman right there, you volunteered. Yes, please come up. 1, 2, 3. One more, brave person. Yes. Okay, let's go down. Should we go up here? Yeah, we'll go up here. Come up here, because it's better sight lines. Sight lines, little theater term. Okay, so you're gonna stand in a row. I'm gonna get out of the way. And look how fabulous. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't say that. Don't report me, don't cancel me. Okay. We are going to do a little yes and experience, and pay attention because you're all going to be doing it at your tables too. Okay, so we are going to start with yes, but. Yes, but, okay? And we are going to create the Ventura County Christmas celebration. Okay? And I'll start. Okay, in Ventura County, we are going to have a Christmas celebration with the biggest Santa balloon ever.
Yes, but there are too many trees and it could pop.
Yes, but the balloon is not quite what we really want. We want reality.
Yes, but what about the menorah?
Yes, but my father hates balloons.
Excellent, excellent. Are we having any kind of a festival? We're not having a festival. So, all right, let's try yes, maybe, because these people are so talented. Let's start. I'm going to start over here. So, okay, now we're going to plan the best caregiver vacation ever. So we meet at the Ventura Airport. Is there one? Oh, okay. But it doesn't matter. Camarillo. Also, by the way, you can make it up. So I could have just made that up. But I'm going to stick to the facts because someone said they like reality. Okay. We go to the Camarillo Airport. This is yes, maybe.
Yes, maybe, but yes, maybe. Can my cat come?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, maybe. Do we have a budget for it?
Yes, maybe, but I don't think they go to Hawaii.
Yes, maybe, but what if there's bad weather and we can't fly?
Yes. Okay. Love this team. How about a hand for this team? Now, are we going on vacation? Maybe. All right. Let's give a hand to this group. Yay! All right, four more volunteers. Come on, it's so painless. One. I feel like now I'm at a bidding war. Two, lady with a hat. 3, 4, let's go. Okay, gentlemen, the ladies are winning. That's all I'm going to say. It's not a bidding war. What does a person do at a... Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Don't report me. Okay, now, are you ready for yes and? Okay, here we go. We are going to buy gifts for our entire family so that the tree is full of gifts in the morning. So I'm going to drive to the Camarillo Mall. Is that a thing? Okay. I'm going to go to the Camarillo Mall. The Camarillo Mall.
Yes, and I've already scoped out which stores have 50% off.
Yes, and I have major coupons.
Yes, and they have everything for everybody.
Yes, and I remember Dad's handicap placard card so we can get a parking spot.
Wow. All right. So you can already see who would have thought to bring the handicap sign. Like, you can see the power. Thank you. You can sit down because we're all going to do it now. So you can already see the power of just saying yes and in terms of getting ideas, getting other ideas that you wouldn't have thought of yourself just by saying yes. So what I want you to do at your tables, I want you to do this exercise together. So someone is going to start. Let's do the Camarillo holiday party, because that's really timely and fun. Pick someone to start, and you're going to just do yes and. Just have the experience of yes anding each other. Okay? Everyone good? All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Awesome. I did hear quite a few. No! Whoa! So, does someone who was the most surprised? Anybody say something that was totally you never would have thought of? Yes? Over here? They invited dogs to their party. Very nice. Anyone else have a yes? That's yes, you did? Oh, over there, yes. Ah, pet llama, yes. Did you have one at your table? You had one at your table? Anyone? A bold one? Oh, we had horses. This is Camarillo is very animal friendly. Is that the vibe that I'm getting? Horses. Everybody wants horses. Okay. Well, excellent, excellent. And so you build on each other's ideas, and you don't necessarily drop the budget and say, yes, we're going to do this, but you get to hear a lot of different ideas. So now, where this relates to any kind of brain, memory, situation, right? This is kind of I love this little acronym, and it's acknowledge, engage, and redirect. It's kind of just the fine-tuning of the yes and for this world, right? So, for example, and again, I know we have people that aren't dealing with memory issues here, so I'll try to think of that. But in this moment, I will say, often you will hear, my son is coming to pick me up, and I'm going to, and it's, instead of saying, no, your son lives in Iowa, you could say, yes, and I'd love to call him and talk to him about that, and why don't we go and have a snack, or why don't we go for a walk until we make that phone call? So it's a way of acknowledging what the person is saying rather than creating more agitation by pointing out how incorrect it is. Instead, saying yes and it is, you know, something that I was surprised by, and again, you all probably have heard the term therapeutic lying. Yes, so, what? Fiblets. Oh, I got to write that one down. Okay, fiblets. That's the shorthand. Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I heard that. I was like, wow, therapeutic lying. Okay, I'll just use that everywhere. No. Anyway, fiblets, therapeutic lying, it's all in service of reducing agitation, right? And again, you know, I know that this is supposed to all be about laughter, and this is not necessarily specifically laughter, but it's the way to laughter. It's setting up a dynamic where laughter can occur. So I just want to be clear about that. When I first started teaching these, like at CALA and ICAA, and I get the feedback, well, we thought it was going to be funnier. and that's fine, but that's why I had to say it's tools for self-care and creating laughter, right? Because that's really more important. Like, and even with the company, I couldn't call it cognitive engagement on call, right? Because, like, who's calling those people? But if as soon as you say that it's a means to, a bridge to laughter and finding joy where you least expect it, then people are interested, which is great. Okay, number 2, let go of the moment before. So I already gave you that example of being a stand-up person and saying, okay, well, I can't stand here and cry. I'm going to go to my next joke. I'm going to hold out possibility that the next joke will land. And I think this is so true in caregiving, and again, confirmed by that Harvard statistic of like finding tools and ways to maintain a hope for a positive outcome, this idea of a positive outcome. Not the outcome you necessarily wanted. I think we can all agree on that. But you're holding out hope for a positive outcome in the moment, right? So we're going to let go of the moment before. Let it go. And now I love to just talk about this for a little bit. Any meditation people in the room? Oh, wow. Of course, right? So this is just the greatest. If you're not in any kind of a meditation practice, there's Calm, there's Headspace, there are apps that even at the free level can help you. And I really, really am a fan of focusing and centering. Very much linked to breathing, right? Box breathing. Anybody familiar with box breathing? Yes, yes, yes. Everyone's so well educated here. It's fancy. Okay, we did the shake. We did that one, right? Shake your body out, change your energy, definitely getting physical in some way is kind of like a physical gesture toward letting go is very, very helpful. And then this was interesting. I taught a workshop in New York at Caring Kind. Are any of you familiar with Caring Kind? It was the Alzheimer's Association in New York City, and then they broke off and they created Caring Kind. And I was teaching workshop, and the question was, well, what do we do when caregivers can't leave the room? Like, they really have to be there every second, and they're feeling a little tense. And someone suggested lavender oil. And that lavender oil, I see some people nodding, right? Lavender oil is calming. And then someone else corrected them, because it was New York, and said, no, it's not lavender. Lavender oil is bad for something else. So you definitely want to, like, figure out which oils you respond to personally. But that is something to keep in your pocket, and I thought that was really cool and unexpected. Okay. Whew. Number 3, express appreciation, right? It takes courage to express appreciation. Can anyone suggest why that might be? Yes. Ding, ding, ding! Yes, yes, right? It makes us vulnerable to say thank you, to say, thank you, I actually needed that. Thank you. You helped me. It means I needed help. Oops. So we have to risk vulnerability. And yet it's such a powerful act to say thank you. So, and appreciation, especially working with elders, it helps you focus on and express the best of who the person means, what the person means to you and others. And it can fill in some very long pauses, right? Allowing yourself to express what it means either to care for this person or what they've meant to you in your life, right? And of course, exercise is a muscle that is important for all relationships and your own health. So it's hard to express appreciation for others. It's even harder to express appreciation for ourselves. Yes, ourselves. But it is proven to help with resilience, which is why we're going to do it right now. Yes, here we go, right now. Okay, I was told that you have writing utensils, or no, I'm seeing this table is immediately perplexed. But if you have a phone in the bag, I'm being told there's in the bag, or if you have a phone with a notes app, I want to take a few minutes, and I'll check with my timing to make sure that we're all on schedule. I know you want to eat, of course, got to eat. Dear me, what I love about you is. Just take a quick beat. All right, how are we feeling? How was that? Wonderful. I love it. Anyone brave enough to share what you wrote with the group? Anyone? Oh, over here. Awesome. Here. And this lovely gentleman, Asa, is going to bring the mic to you. Over here, Asa, too. Yeah. And then we'll go over here.
What I wrote is, dear me, what I like about you is your energy and your sense of humor. I feel best when I can find the funny in trying times.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great. I think someone else, yeah?
So I wrote, dear me, what I love about me is I'm organized, I try, I'm not afraid to fail, I'm a good cook, I'm generous with my time, I make life prettier, healthier, and happier, and I care.
Love that. Awesome. And you, did you? No, this woman right here. Oh, this lady right here with the beautiful hat.
Dear me, what I love about myself is my sense of humor, my singing every day, singing the old songs of the 40s, and all who have enriched my life. And that's a lot of
Beautiful. Singing.
I make myself laugh. You know, if I go through the day and I get an ache here and a pain there, I say, gotta laugh now. So I string of silly poems that I remember, and here's one of them.
Okay, let's hold the mic right up to her face, Asa. Thank you.
I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. Oh, how I wish he'd go away. Laugh every day.
Gotta laugh every day. Yes.
Dear me, what I love about me is being humorous, genuine, positive, and caring.
Yes, beautiful. Right here, Asa, this woman had her hand. Right here at the same table, right? Didn't you have your hand up? Nope, she changed her mind. Okay. Over here, over here. So again, this is something you can do anytime.
Testing 1, 2.
Okay, go.
Dear me, what I love about you is your smile, your energy, and living on purpose.
Yes, yes. Who else? Right here.
Dear me, what I love about you is your connection to trees, seabirds, and sea glass.
Ooh, nice. This side of the room. This side of the room. This is the quiet side of the room. Anybody over here? Anything? Anything?
You don't want to share? Oh, don't be scared, lady.
All right.
Right there,
Oh,
right there.
This lady raised her hand. Oh, we got two. We got two. It's contagious, like laughter. Contagious.
What I love about you is you try so hard. You're willing to try and to be open to change, that you can be generous with your time, that your love language is helping, and that you take care of yourself and you live with faith.
I love that. And you live with faith? Was that the last? Beautiful. Over here, there was one more.
Dear me, what I love about you is that you have a lot of empathy that comes naturally to help loved ones when needed, and you're responsible for getting things done.
Yes, beautiful. All right, well, thank you. It's so interesting that you mentioned faith, because in the book about marriage that I wrote, the last chapter, it was 14 Tools to Have a Happy Marriage, was have faith. And I think that was the demise of it being a comedy book. Because people wanted, like, why didn't anybody invite me to the party, or one of those, like, comedy books. But when you talk to people who've been married 10 to 60 years, faith, turns out, is something that you need, and courage, right? That's just a little, that's just Camarillo aside. Also, I've never said that before. Okay, here we go. Now, we are about to wrap it up, but I would love someone to read this for us. Who would like to read this for us? Yes, go ahead. Amen, right? Right? That's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I think it's particularly relevant for brain injury, for brain health, for cognitive decline, because it is proven that how sensitive, as people lose cognition, they actually gain emotional sensitivity and sensitivity to energy. So it's really, really important. I see someone taking a picture, so, okay, here we go. Now, we're gonna play one last game before we go have lunch, okay? Who remembers the song, Tell Me Something Good? Yes? All right, so this is all about, and this is a game you can play, again, with staff, with the person you're caring for, at Christmas dinner. It is something that trains your mind, and I'm sure they didn't know this when they wrote it, to think about the minutia of life that is positive, the moments that are positive, and this positively affects all of our well-being. So, let's do one. Everybody, we're going to sing it together, and then someone is going to say something positive, and then we'll do it at our tables too. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Tell me something good. Huh. All right, you got to say huh. No, you were right. Got to put a little huh at the end. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Tell me something good. Huh. All right, who has something good to say? Yes. The sun comes up new every day. Yes. All right, here we go. Tell me something good. Huh. All right, I'll go before I send it to you. This has been a joy. It is truly my honor to be with all of you. How lucky is Camarillo? Okay. Tell me something good. Huh. Go ahead. Tell us something good. Yes. Oh, best endorsement ever. All right, now, we're going to do it at our tables, right? Go around, we're going to sing, and each of you is going to say something good. Could be the smallest thing. I got a muffin at Starbucks. It doesn't matter. It's focusing the mind on something good. Here we go. Tell me something good. Yes, I'm going to talk to you 1 second. 1 sec. Okay, before we leave, thank you so much. Here's some little things just a little review of what we talked about. Accept imperfection, let go of the moment before, express appreciation, stay connected. What a fantastic community you have. So give it up to the leaders and the people who do this. And yeah, I'm Dani. The other last piece, I did a TED Talk about this. It's coming out. I don't know when, but I will make sure that all the powers that be here know about it. And we keep spreading the good word of laughter and connection. So thank you so much. Thank you.